So we'll move on to our 6.5, consideration of an ordinance authorizing the implementation of a community choice aggregation program by participating with the Sonoma Clean Power Authority. B, consideration of a resolution requesting that the Sonoma Clean Power Authority act as community choice aggregator on behalf of the county and implement the Sonoma Clean Power Community Choice Aggregation Program within the county. C, consideration of a resolution establishing county membership in the Sonoma Lake Mendocino Geothermal Opportunity Zone. Matthew Rothstein, go ahead and start.
Again, it's a privilege to address your board this morning. I'm Matthew Rothstein, Chief Deputy County Administrative Officer. As you are aware, in 2015, your predecessor board passed an ordinance signaling intent to implement community choice aggregation, or CCA, in Lake County, providing a public alternative to power generation with PG&E. Implementation has been explored 3 times since. On the 2 previous occasions, it wasn't feasible. Earlier this year, Sonoma Clean Power undertook a feasibility study which demonstrated conditions for implementation were more favorable than on those previous occasions. And Sonoma Clean Power's board authorized an offer of service on August 7, 2025. That offer anticipated the county and all cities joining together. Sonoma Clean Power staff presented a joint workshop with your board and the cities of Clear Lake and Lakeport on Tuesday evening, September 30, answering many questions from members of your board and the public. And we greatly appreciate all who participated in that important meeting, and Sonoma Clean Power joining many other public meetings in Lake County this year and being present in our communities. As you are aware, on Thursday, October 2, the Clear Lake City Council voted 2-3 against implementation. However, Sonoma Clean Power staff have indicated their board may consider extending an alternative offer of service to the county and city of Lakeport should your board and that city council demonstrate strong support for joining. Sonoma Clean Power's board is scheduled to next meet November 6, and Chief Executive Officer Jeff Cyphers, Board Chair Brian Barnacle, and others from Sonoma Clean Power are here in your chambers today. Before your board this morning are enabling documents required to provide an alternative to power generation with PG&E through Sonoma Clean Power and to participate in the GeoZone. As you're aware, those documents were previously made available in connection to your board's October 7 meeting. County Counsel Lloyd Gintavano can respond to any remaining questions regarding those documents. And additionally, since your agenda was published, he connected with counsel to Sonoma Clean Power and will now present a change to the language, the proposed language in the resolution authorizing participation in the GeoZone.
Lloyd, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So it's really just a change. Since the time when the documents were, which consists of just the 2 resolutions and the proposed ordinance that's before your board today for consideration, what's been uploaded was the red line versions of those and the clean versions of each. And since that time, since those documents have been uploaded, staff has been in communication with counsel from SCP to try to accommodate or try to figure out what other revisions that may need to take place in order to accommodate for the updated situation that we're in. Mr. Rothstein mentioned that SCP's meeting is scheduled to meet on November 6th. So it was designed to these latest round of revisions were designed to accommodate for those or to address those. And so it's really on one revision would be on the resolution of the Board of Supervisors of the County of Lake establishing county membership in the Sonoma Lake Mendocino Geothermal Opportunity Zone, and that resolution, the additional revision to that is fairly short. It's on section 3 of that resolution, where in the last sentence it says, notwithstanding the foregoing, any proposed development of geothermal energy in the jurisdiction of the county shall be subject to the county's review and approval. And the statement to be added there as part of the revision would be to the extent provided by applicable law. That's the only revision, to add that last clause to that statement. And so that resolution, should your board consider to adopt it, would be to adopt it as amended. And then the second document to be revised, or proposed to be revised, would be the ordinance itself, which is an ordinance authorizing the implementation of a community choice aggregation program by participating with the Sonoma Clean Power Authority on the fourth recital of that proposed ordinance. It should be read to state, for that clarification, it should state, whereas on October 4, 2013, the California Public Utilities Commission certified the implementation plan for SCPA CCA program, and on February 20th, 2015, approved the first revised and updated implementation plan, and approved a second revised and updated implementation plan dated October 2016, confirming SCPA's compliance with the requirements of the Act. That's the only revision to that, additional revision to that ordinance. It's to better reflect the and better reference the latest update on that implementation plan, which is referenced as a second revised and updated implementation plan. And so, should your board consider to adopt this ordinance or have it approved for first reading, it would be to approve the first reading of this ordinance as amended.
Thank you, County Council Gintovano. So as has been described in previous meetings, the GeoZone offers a process to seek partners for geothermal project development. Members of your board will be aware the state has authorized, for example, 2 gigawatts of new geothermal development, and more is expected in the coming years as we seek to meet statewide energy portfolio goals. Joining the geothermal opportunity zone with neighboring Sonoma and Mendocino counties would facilitate Lake County participating in outreach activities undertaken by technical experts and other staff from Sonoma Clean Power. As you will appreciate, duplicating that capacity would be challenging with existing county staff. If a geothermal project were ultimately proposed in Lake County, there would be anticipated impacts of that specific project, and in return, the county would have the opportunity to negotiate for particular community benefits. Sonoma Clean Power staff have clarified and affirmed their expectation is that community benefits would go to the county affected by the project and not Sonoma Clean Power more broadly. As Deputy County Administrative Officer Benjamin Rickelman shared October 7, previous geothermal development in Lake County has brought significant property tax revenue, and initial project development is capital expenditure intensive. Newer geothermal technologies require less water and can include closed loop systems. And there do still remain a network of factors that would need to be considered in any development agreement and other project-related decision-making should a project come forth. Revenues from existing geothermal projects have supported a diversity of county services, including Cobb Park development and other park improvements, aquatic weeds spraying, and multiple line items in the Community Development Department's budget, including their resource planner position. Loan repayment for a water line replacement project was also facilitated. And members of your board will agree that Calpine has been a tremendous community partner. Each project and partner, however, are unique. Not every potential investor may demonstrate the same degree of community mindedness. However, again, it is anticipated community benefits would be negotiated in consideration of expected impacts should a specific geothermal project be proposed in Lake County. Benjamin Rickelman had likewise shared, while permanent jobs associated with new geothermal technologies may be fewer in number than traditional energy technologies, jobs in the energy sector can provide for strong economic mobility, with roles paying from the mid-60,000s to 120,000. And many of those positions have pathways that do not require a 4-year degree. I will now turn the presentation over to Sonoma Clean Power's Chief Executive Officer, Jeff Cyphers, and Board Chair Brian Barnacle.
Thank you, Matthew. And good morning, Chair and Board. I'm here and excited. This is a long time coming. So after 10 years of Lake County exploring community choice, and after 3 rounds of asking us to offer service, it comes down to a vote today. And I'm excited for that. I want to thank all of you for investing the time to explore this. I've spent time with each of you, and it takes a while. This is a complex undertaking. And to learn about this movement that between Sonoma Clean Power and our 24 other sister agencies around California, we now serve more customers than PG&E does. And we produce more power than any other type of generator in California. And I want to thank your staff too. Your staff have done a phenomenal job of testing this, of developing a packet for you, have been really good to work with. And in addition to my board chair who will come up and speak, I want to thank the 4 folks from my team, Miles Horton, Claudia Sissamfu, I'm Neil Reardon in the back, and where is he? Oh, Kate Kelly as well joined us today. We've got a really good team here that make me look good, so I want to thank them as well. As I've traveled around the county, thank you Supervisor Owen for that suggestion, I've met a lot of people and a lot of them have advice for me. Some of the advice that I've gotten was just say exactly what this vote is about. So I'm going to try to do that today. So a yes vote means that your residents and businesses will have the ability to choose whether Sonoma Clean Power or PG&E produce their power. A no vote means they have to use PG&E and pay PG&E's rates, even if they're higher. And PG&E's rates are usually higher, over 80% of the time. A yes vote means Lake County can finally benefit directly from the energy made at the geysers. While we work together to engage our communities to look across Sonoma, Mendocino, and Lake counties for good places to develop the right kinds of geothermal power and other energy resources. A yes vote means that you are committing to the right of your constituents, of your residents. It means that if Lake County joins, that you cannot remove their right to make those choices for 20 years because that length of term allows us to purchase large-scale energy projects. It's also important to say what a yes vote does not mean. It does not lock anyone in. Every customer can return to PG&E at any time, including the county itself. It does not add any cost or risk to your general fund. We're a JPA for that reason. We're completely isolated. It does not commit you to any specific geothermal resources or locations. A yes vote also means that tribes will have the freedom to make their own decisions about whether to participate or opt out. A no vote means tribes will not get that choice. A yes vote will give Lake County a seat at the table, joining a regional agency that's earning real wins in Sacramento and at the California Public Utilities Commission. And I want to give a really concrete example of a win we just had 2 weeks ago since I last saw you. PG&E had been arguing that new community choice customers, like those here in the future, should not get any credit for their battery resources, the projects that they've been building over the last few years, even though all customers pay for the costs of those resources. And we pushed back really hard. In the end, PG&E agreed to withdraw their proposal. No one in Sonoma or Mendocino County will benefit from that victory, only new CCA customers, like those here. And they will save millions per year as a result of that. Our victory means that even in times where SCP customers in Sonoma and Mendocino counties are paying a little more than PG&E, Lake County customers of ours will be paying less. And that's pretty cool. We didn't have that the last time we met. That's the kind of work we do every day. We fight for customers, we fight for clean, reliable power, and we fight for the people in the communities that we serve. I noted just recently in the packet for Lakeport tonight, City Manager Ingram is recommending heartily joining, and I hope you will join the SCP team. I'll turn it over to my chair, Brian Barnacle. Thank you.
Good morning, Chair Crandall, Vice Chair, members of the board. It's a pleasure to be here today. Thank you for considering this. I want to talk a little bit about why I love serving on Sonoma Clean Power. One, it's a financially strong organization that's really well run. We do work to represent our constituents and advocate on their behalf. Jeff just talked about some of it, but every meeting it feels like we're coming forward, our staff are coming forward with ways that they can lower costs, ways that we can do more for the community, And we work with some of the brightest minds at the CPUC, thinking of legislative angles, thinking of ways that we can bring down the cost of power, because it is increasingly becoming an existential issue for people needing to choose whether they can eat or heat. And we're right at the front lines of that and working on that every day. When our communities are in need, we give back. We show up in the communities, and it's not just Sonoma. In the last few years, we've done more events in Mendocino County, where we've expanded to, because we know that the most important thing is being a good community steward. When COVID hit and people were faced with food insecurity, we donated to the food bank. Big donations. We do that every year reliably, but we doubled our donation for that. And it's just a real honor to be on an agency that has the financial means and the community mission to represent people. There's a few things that we need to make sure of to make sure this is a good fit. The first one is done, and that's to make sure that it's financially makes sense for both of us, and it does. We've done the analysis. It makes sense for the people you serve. It makes sense for our agency to look at this. The next one is really what I'm here to do, and what you all are here to do, and that's to make sure that there's good culture and mission alignment, because the electeds are really at the front lines of being the brand ambassadors for the people, for the member agencies of Sonoma Clean Power. And I can't stress that enough, because the issues that we deal with are really complex. The CPUC is a black box, and you don't understand it. And you're going to get tough questions, and you need to be able to dive in, educate yourself on it, enough to where you can say, some things are out of our hands, but we're working on it, and know that. I was at the Clear Lake vote, and I'll be honest, I was a little taken back. It wasn't what I expected, because we were accused of being salesmen, and there was accusations about, we're after your land, and that's just not the agency that we are. We've stood up in engineering and capital projects because we want to bring good jobs to the communities we serve. We've updated our procurement rules to require local hires, to require community benefits agreements, to make sure that the resources that we're building are built using local labor that are paid a good wage. As part of that, it includes community outreach into our community, into our procurement rules. We've gone above and beyond, and so much so that the other CCAs have, said, "What the heck did you do? You guys went too far. Now we've got a bar. You set the bar too high." But that's the agency that we are. That's the board that we are. That we're really proud of that, and we, I think, today I'm willing to go back and recommend to the board that we extend our service to your agency, or to the county and to Lakeport. But what's most important to me is that that you all up here are going to be out there talking to your constituents, because I don't want to be the one selling it. I want you to be the one selling it. I want us to be here selling it with you, because I truly believe this is good for your constituents, but I don't want to be, coming up here and selling your constituents. I want us to be doing it together. I want you all to believe in this, because it can be really great, I believe. So thank you.
Now we invite your board's decision-making. Joining Sonoma Clean Power represents a very long commitment, and we truly appreciate the significant efforts members of your board have made in recent months to educate yourselves surrounding this opportunity to provide an alternative to PG&E's power generation, and you're weighing both potential consequences and benefits.
Do we have any questions? I know I have one for Jeff. You mentioned something about the tribes having a decision, and that when we talked on, I think it was the 7th or the special meeting, there was a mention that we would be making the decision for them, the tribes, because of a state oversight of some nature. So I wanted to get clarification on that.
Yeah, let me clarify. So the state law, Assembly Bill 117 from 2002, that allows this kind of organization to be formed, specifically states that the organization can be formed and have membership and participation by cities and counties and JPAs of cities and counties. It doesn't mention tribes. So the way to give, in my view, the way to give tribes the respect of their sovereignty is to enable for the county to allow this to form and form, and then proceed and meet with all the tribes and say, what do you wish now? Because now they can choose their in or out. If we went to them prematurely and asked them would they like to be in or out, we don't really have the ability to offer them that, because if the county hasn't enabled it, they don't have the option to do that. Is that clear?
It's somewhat clear, yes. I think what makes it more of a difficult situation is, I know that with tribes, they will, there's sovereignty that's involved. And so a lot of times, I know the frustrating part in talking with some of the leaders is that, especially with our relationship as of right now with the tribes, as you know, that later on there's going to be a co-management discussion with the tribes on the agenda. And so not working with them in specific areas and making decisions for them really is a difficult thing for tribes to, accept. So not having the opportunity to make the decision is very hard. If it's something that I'm juggling with right here. I understand what you're saying and I get it, but I just have to mention that and actually get more clarification from you on that. So thank you for explaining that, and I just wanted to ask and appreciate you giving me that clarification. Are there any other questions?
I'd like to hear from the public.
All right, so I'll open it up for the public, and if you'd like to come up, state your name for the record, and we'll give you 3 minutes.
My name is Denise Rushing from Upper Lake, and a former member of the Board of Supervisors, also 40-year career in clean energy. This has been a long time coming. Today, the board will decide whether our community has this option. Sonoma Clean Power is a not-for-profit public energy agency. It already serves our neighbors in Sonoma and Mendocino County. It's a quiet decision with enormous opportunity for us. It could shape our energy future. At its heart, the vote is about something we rarely get in today's world, a choice for a clean, more economical energy. Right now, out-of-county generators and PG&E decide around their table where the electricity comes from, where the profits go. By joining Sonoma Clean Power, Lake County residents would have that choice. It's a proven public model that offers competitive, transparent rates and invests its earnings back in its communities. For the average household in Lake County, this could mean real savings, 5 to 7% of the total energy bill on average, and access to world-class programs in energy efficiency, renewable energy, and home resilience. Sonoma Clean Power's track record is exceptional. Cleaner energy, strong customer service, and a decade of financial stability. And if a resident prefers to stay with PG&E or a tribe prefers to stay with PG&E, they can. They can opt out. It's simple, it costs nothing initially, and is nominal fee after service has begun. Some fear the unknown, but this is not unknown. Hundreds of California communities have joined programs of community choice aggregation and thrived, creating cleaner energy for California, and fortunately as well, more economical energy, because the price curve for solar is going down. The price curve for fossil fuels is going up. So as energy becomes more and more expensive on the fossil fuel side, clean energy is more economical. What's risky right now is waiting, because this is an opportunity we've been working on for well over a decade. It won't come again anytime soon, if at all. So just as past generations once lost control of Clear Lake's waters by standing on the sidelines, this board faces a similar decision. You could say no, and we lose the opportunity. I've spent my career in clean energy for climate reasons, and now it's also for economic reasons. I've served 2 terms on the board. I know how rare this kind of decision or this opportunity is, and how rare for the timing to align. Lake County deserves choice, fairness, the economics, and a voice in shaping our energy future. Let's not let it slip away. Let's not forego the opportunity. There won't be a better deal anytime soon by waiting. There won't be any more information that you'll get by waiting. So please, I strongly urge a yes vote.
Thank you.
Good morning, Board. Thank you. Wes Baker, Lower Lake. I'm here to urge a no vote. This is not a good thing. I was at that joint meeting. It's a one-sided story is all we're hearing so far. I asked that maybe we postpone or something like that and speak with PG&E and find out about their wildfire response. Will they still maintain all of that when they lose a big portion of their profit from the power energy? Will PG&E still continue with the undergrounding that we all need up here at $1 million a mile when they lose millions of dollars? Sonoma Clean Power will probably be taking millions of dollars just the minute you guys vote here, and once we sign up into them, they're taking millions of dollars from PG&E. I hope you understand that. The last time too, at that meeting on the 30th, I think it was the 30th, but the joint meeting, Facebook, there was some stories on that where people heard me talk, and people said that I work for PG&E. I've never worked for PG&E. I don't work for PG&E. I don't own PG&E stock. Okay, I have worked at the geysers. As a subcontractor, I was up there, and more than likely, if any geothermal was built up here in Lake County, the company that I retired from, I'm retired now, they would have more than likely been working on that project, which would have meant I would have been working on the project. I do know what I'm talking about. I've got a Juris Doctorate degree in law. I'm not a lawyer, so I do know a little bit about the law too. We keep hearing that the rates aren't going to go down. PG&E's rates always go up. I've got a letter here. Sonoma Clean Power has been speaking towards PG&E, saying PG&E's fine with them, PG&E's this, PG&E's that. If you were in a courtroom, that would be called hearsay because we don't get PG&E here to ask them the questions. That would never be any kind of evidence. I've got some evidence here. It was an email that I got direct from PG&E. We have some good news relating to your bill. Starting September 1, your residential electric rates decreased by 2.1%. Over the past 15 months, residential electric rates have dropped 3 times. PG&E is working hard to stabilize prices, and rates are expected to go down again in 2026. In addition to the September electric rate, PG&E customers will receive a $58.23 California climate credit in October. Okay, we did get that. We just got that the other day. I've got a tenant that's a low income. This guy's minimum wage, living in a property, really, really inexpensive, and he didn't even have to pay any PG&E bill.
Wrap up if you can.
Okay. We don't need this. PG&E's got an ad running on TV right now that says they expect
Sir,
no rate
if you can wrap
increases in
up
25,
completely.
and there won't be any in 26 either. So this is one-sided. Please vote no. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Loretta McCarthy. I'm at District 3. Thank you, Jay, for awesome service all these years, and for the other board members as well. I want to speak in support of Lake County participating with Sonoma Clean Power Authority. This is simple. I'm 84 years old. Simple is good for me, okay? So this is just very simple. A friend asked me, what if we change over to Sonoma Clean Power and things don't go as outlined? What if we enter into an agreement and PG&E retaliates, or Sonoma Clean Energy isn't as, quote, clear as they seem, as clean as they seem? My response, let's check Sonoma Clean Power's record, their track record. Sonoma Clean Power was officially formed in 2012 by the Sonoma County Board of Supervisors. It started serving its first customers of May of 2014. Okay, Been serving customers, first Sonoma, then Mendocino, for over 10 years. How many customers in these counties are participating in Sonoma Clean Power? Well, Healdsburg and Ukiah have their own public utilities. The rest of those counties, 87% are participating. Businesses, residents, 87%. After the first 60 days, they stayed on. To get out, all they have to pay, as I understand it, is $5 if you're residential customers. If you don't like Sonoma Clean Power, you go back to PG&E, $5 exit amount. $25 for businesses if you don't like it. And yet 87% are still in. That's a track record I can honor and respect. It seems that Sonoma Clean Power is working well for Mendocino and Sonoma. Now it is time for Lake County. I strongly, shall I say the word again? Strongly? Simple. Encourage our Board of Supervisors to say yes. We've got a lot of options ahead of us. Say yes today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Morning, Supervisors. My name is Arnaud Hubert. I'm a resident of Kelseyville, and I sit on the Big Valley Advisory Council. I urge this board to implement the Community Choice Aggregator program and adopt Sonoma Clean Power as Community Choice Aggregator on behalf of the county. This means providing choice to Lake County residents, access lower rates, and allowing the county to have a voice on the board of the CCA, in this case, Sonoma Clean Power. We cannot continue being held hostage by PG&E's de facto monopoly and it being our only option for power generation. We generate power right here in this county, so let's close the loop. And again, no user, from what's been explained over and over, will be forced to use Sonoma Clean Power. If they don't want to, they can stay with PG&E if they, suffer from Stockholm Syndrome. By the way, I heard prior speaker, PG&E won't stop undergrounding their lines just because this CCA program happens here. They've been undergrounding lines in other counties that have adopted CCAs, and this is part of a mandate that they have to follow, that's been dictated by the state as the result of the plea to, let's remember, 84 counts of manslaughter that day, following the campfire. And that's just a campfire. PG&E's been spending millions this year in TV ads to convince us they're listening to their users. As been pointed out, we have no voice with PG&E. There's no point starting to negotiate with them. The Public Utility Commission has been described as a black box, and I think it's pretty accurate. Whether with this program, if the board goes along with this, again, the county and possibly the city of Lakeport, I hope so, I hope we'll have good news tonight, will have a voice. Again, this is really important because this provides choice to the county, possibly the city of Lakeport and users. So please, let's go ahead and adopt this program. I urge you to vote yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Board of Supervisors. My name's Rick White. I'm from Kelseyville. Many of you know me. I'm very involved with Kelseyville in a lot of different ways, including being on the Big Valley Advisory Council, the Kelseyville Business Association, the Lake County Economic Development Corporation. And I also encourage you to support joining the Sonoma County Clean Power. Let's face it, PG&E needs some competition. We are a capitalistic society, and I believe that the consumers need choice. I get angry every time I get a PG&E bill, and I don't know, I imagine there's a lot of people in this room that also get angry. We need to start doing something to start getting our costs down. We've got businesses that are struggling with some of these PG&E bills, and some of them have gone out of business. I look at this as a way to open up the doors to some other great things in the county. I mean, we're looking at the potential for maybe developing microgrids, maybe wind power, other ideas that might actually come into fruition if we work with something like, Sonoma County Power. So I'm going to just kind of keep it simple and just let you know that I would support it if I were you.
Thank you.
AI did not understand.
Hi, Elaine Brown, Kelseyville. Just in my observations, this is a cost-effective lower ceiling. It's lowered, so it keeps, it's cost-effective for heating and cooling. I was in Visalia at for the poor, it was a new, beautiful medical facility, high ceilings all the way up, 2 stories high. I've been to libraries, really high ceilings, very cold in there. I've seen a business, really high ceilings, 2, 3 stories high, cold in there. Could it be that PG&E is a part of the plan to get rid of small businesses with what's happened with COVID? Some of you know what I'm talking about. Because I know 2 business owners in this county who I love very much, their families. And one in a business this size, maybe half a size bigger, paid $10,000 in 1 month for PG&E. The other one is another business, small business, and we've talked about, I don't know what they pay, but they've told me we've talked about PG&E. So just in my summations of looking at situations, are people getting different rates? Because I've been in some buildings of very high ceilings, very cold. I can't imagine them paying what they should be paying. So maybe us as a people and the business owners that they want to get rid of are being charged differently by PG&E. So we don't really know. I would like to know that, and maybe having competition would give us a better idea of that. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Sterling. I'm from District 3. I'm from Spring Valley. I did email you guys what maybe we should be requesting if we are going to go through Sonoma Clean Power. So Sonoma Clean Power isn't here because they want to be partners with Lake County. They're here because they've already hit their expansion limit at the geothermal field at the geysers. Their only path to growth, their profit, is to tap into our geothermal resource. Lake County sits directly on top of one of the most significant geothermal zones in the entire state. The geysers field doesn't stop at the county line. It stretches through Lower Lake, Clear Lake, and almost all the way to Highway 20 in Clear Lake Oaks. And there's a second geothermal corridor that runs from Witter Springs along Highway 20 all the way to Walker Ridge. Lake County isn't just part of the geozone, we are the core of it. This isn't empty land. One of our local tribe nations, the Robinson Rancheria, situated right in the middle of the geozone. Any drilling, pressure changes, and seismic activity impacts not just our land and water, it impacts our people, culture, and the community with deep historical ties to this land. And here's the reality. Geothermal permitting happens at a state level. Even if Lake County denies local permits, Sonoma Clean Power can go directly to the state, and the state can override us. Once the door is open, we lose all control over what happens next. That's why this works like a Ponzi scheme. Sonoma County, one of the wealthiest counties in California, stands to profit. Lake County, the second poorest in the state, takes on the seismic risk, the environmental burden, and the cultural impacts. Changing subsurface pressures triggers seismic activity. And when something catastrophic happens, it's not their county that pays the price, it's ours. Sonoma Clean Power needs Lake County. We don't need them. They want our geothermal zone, our resource, and our land, not to uplift our community, but to expand their revenue. Jessica Paiska, I understand you don't want to be remembered as the board that doesn't pass this, but if it does pass today, you guys will be remembered as the board that voted to pass on our economic, our culture, and our own safety in our community. And then I also did get this from the U.S. Geological Services, to where it shows you exactly where all the new and untapped geothermal is. And I really think you guys need to really look into this. They cannot expand anymore in Sonoma or Mendocino. They need us to expand and to make their profit bigger. So with what I've sent all of you guys with what we need to do, if you do want to pass it, these are the things that we need to request. We, like you said, we don't need to sit at the kiddie table. We are what they need, and we need to benefit, and we can benefit, and we can bring in those resources. Just like these ladies with the IHS, they can get their raises like they need because we will have it here. Thank you. And if you guys need these, they're right here, so you can look at them.
Thank you.
I'm Norman Kimes. I live out in the county south of Lower Lake. A lot of stuff going on here. I'm trying to learn to be an elder in my family. It's not easy. The task is taking my experience and wisdom and avoiding the mistakes of the past. We've already made this mistake here in Lake County. All of our water is owned by Yolo County because a group of people thought it was a good idea for economic reasons, lots of reasons. I'm the one who accused them, Jeff, of being a salesman. I have over 40 years experience general contracting, diverse projects. This is a sales meeting with a big staff that showed up. It reminds me of the timeshare sales meetings they used to have. I went to some of those. A little bit different energy, same thing, lots of promises. They can see the future. And by the way, hurry up. This offer expires. Don't be seduced. We have a lot going on here. I love this county. I love this community. We are a very unusual part of this state. I love it. I don't want to live in Lakeport. I want to live in the 500 acres I live on. I have a 36-inch pipeline that goes to the geysers running a mile through my property, half a mile. That pipeline's got to be 35 miles long just to replenish the water that's being depleted at the geyser with the geothermal project. We have a water problem here, massive. Our spring used to generate 125 gallons per minute in 1968, 12 and a half gallons a minute now, today. The water that's going to make the steam that drives these generators has to come from somewhere. Half, I would say 20 to 25% of the wells across the highway from me are now non-functioning because of the loss of water. They're not rebounding. This is not a small decision. This is not something you need to hurry into. They're going to be here. If they're making this money, they're going to be here tomorrow, next year, 10 years from now. We are ignorant. We don't know what we're doing with this project. They're in a hurry. Let them be in a hurry. It doesn't affect us. Their emergency isn't ours. It's not. We have power. I'm not a fan of PG&E. I fight with them all the time.
You can wrap up.
Okay? But what I do know is they've spent millions of dollars to repair the damage from fires they didn't cause. They're standing by us best they
Sir,
can.
if you could wrap up, please.
They are failing.
What was your name?
They're trying. I'm Norman Kimes, K-I-M, Mary, E-S.
Thank you. I forgot that.
Thank you.
Sorry. Any other public input or public comment?
Good morning, Board. Weston Seifert. I have the Saw Shop Public House in downtown Kelseyville. I spoke at the last board meeting. So I am in favor of Sonoma Clean Power. I think there's a lot of really important things. I hear previous speakers say, we have time to wait. They're going to, take something that's ours. And I don't necessarily disagree with any of that. I do believe we have urgency. So I agree that we have something that they want. That's all very true. My point is, we haven't done anything in 20 years to move anything forward. This is our first opportunity in 20 years to give the citizens of Lake County a choice. And I agree, we need to craft the best deal for for your constituents. That is absolutely true. It is, recent conversations that I've had, it is interesting to me that we do not have an energy policy committee for us to be able to create our own destiny. I haven't had a chance to talk with Ben, but one of the things that I heard at the last meeting, and I have to confirm this, and you can all correct me, but what I heard was Lake County has the second highest power rates in the country. That is what I heard. I can certainly be corrected, but that's what I heard. That is amazing to me. We need to, if we have a willing partner and we have an energy committee policy or an energy policy that protects Lake County, think of the things that we could do. Think of the power programs, whether it's solar, wind, maybe it's the geozone, I don't know. I'm not smart enough for any of that stuff. But how do we support our constituents? It is, as a business owner, the current trend is not sustainable. When I think of the impact that it's having on customers, that if they're paying $100, $200 more a month in power, that is the money that they use to move the economy. That's the money that they use to go out to dinner, to go to places like mine or buy at the local retail. So at the end of the day, this is for our future. I believe that we have the opportunity to take control of it. Thank you.
Thank you. Supervisor Sabatier?
I just want to respond, and I'd love to get correction as well. I don't think PG&E makes specific requests to the CPUC on a per-county basis what the rates will be. They set rates for their region. And so this is not Lake County has maybe a unique situation for PG&E where we don't have natural gas and electricity because those prices do change during the winter and the summer. But we do not have a specific rate that makes us the second highest in the state. And I'd love to be corrected if that's not the case.
Next.
Good morning, Supervisors. Margot Kambara, member of Lake County General Plan Advisory Committee member, speaking for myself. Today is a deadline for Sonoma Clean Power, SCP, but not for Lake County. At stake is Lake County's future. The SCP offer is described as Lake County's last and best chance regarding energy. With respect, I disagree. I have great respect for Denise Rushing, but I urge you to consider the following points. SCP's offer does not change the energy model. Lake County remains an energy consumer, not a partner, despite having significant geothermal resources that SCP would like to develop. To provide Lake County with real relief from astronomical power bills, the energy model must change. Some Lake County residents, business owners, and farmers are desperate for relief from high energy bills. Lake County can be its own power broker. Like a general contractor, Lake County can set the terms, invite developers, choose a technology, and contract out for professional and technical services needed to run its energy concern, whether it be geothermal or solar or other. By taking charge of its geothermal resources, Lake County can change its fortunes. Lake County should remain in the driver's seat. Serving as its own power broker, we can hire the expertise needed. We invite the developers we want to work with. We retain more of the energy revenues as power broker and general contractor. We have an opportunity. And while the general plan is being updated, this is an opportunity to engage the community in a harder and closer look at the energy options for Lake County. Local area plan advisory committee members can identify preferred places for geothermal and other energy development. These actions should be done with urgency. This can be an exercise in transparent government and community engagement. Today is SCP's deadline. It is not a deadline for Lake County. Lake County should not be rushed into a subpar deal. Today can be the beginning of a new future for Lake County as it commits to finding solutions that truly address its top energy priorities. Affordable energy for residents, farmers, and business owners with significant revenue generation for the county as a bonus. Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
Good morning, Board. Tom Lasik. Yeah, so I've been in these meetings and I've been sitting in on all these things. And just to the first part of my speech, when this first came forward to me, I was all for it. You know, I was excited. My daughter gets her power through a CCA. My brother does. I think that's a great thing. But I'm not there anymore. I've gone from a supporter to neutral to now I'm opposed. And the reason is, if this was just about getting Sonoma clean power and having a lower electrical rate, for me, it would have been an easy yes. That was the original suggestion when this came forward in the spring. But then it changed, and they started to say, we want to include the geozone. So we started looking into it, or I started looking into it, and I had more questions, and I keep getting more and more questions. And now we're at the point where it's the hard sell, and it really is a hard sell. This is your last best chance, and it isn't your last best chance. This is the first time in a few years that someone's come by with an option, but it isn't the only option. We have the ability to control our own destiny. There are things the county does need to do, as Wes pointed out. We need to have an energy policy. We need to have and take better control and management of how we work with energy. But if you put that in place, it becomes very easy to realize that we have a lot more options than we ever thought we did. A lot more. This isn't the last and best offer. This is only the first offer. And we have the ability to work directly with the NCPA. We have ability to have JPAs of our own. We have the ability to generate revenue and as was mentioned, be a power broker. If this was just about, hey, we just want you as a customer, no strings attached, be a different conversation. But it is about the geozones. It is about being underrepresented, to have, maybe 1 1/4 or 1 1/2 of a board seat, even though we might be generating a vast majority of the geozone power. It doesn't seem equitable. The idea that we ask questions and then the answer is that, well, we're willing to discuss that, when in reality, they've already made the decision. I think that's disrespectful. When they say, well, what about the tribes? And it says, well, we'll go talk to them. That's not the message. That's being tone deaf. We as a county can do that the way we want it done. We can bring people to the table that we want to bring to the table, the way we want to be represented. This isn't the only option. I think Sonoma Clean Power started out fine, but then messed up. But thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment on Zoom?
Jim Comstock on Zoom.
Mr. Comstock, if you can unmute, you'll have 3 minutes.
Good morning. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I was a member of the Board of Supervisors when we originally began exploring this. We're 10 years later, and there's an opportunity that I feel is very important for us to exercise. Right now, we do not have a choice. PG&E is our only choice. I personally like to have my lights on, and that power has to be generated somewhere. And we have the geothermal resources. We've been producing an enormous amount of power, which is a great thing. It's been an economic engine for our county for years and years and years. It can continue to be as the geothermal industry continues to expand and improve in what it does. We need to be part of that. And for us to be part of that, I feel we need to have that opportunity to exercise a choice for our consumers, which right now we don't have. Having that choice, which at any time they have the opportunity, any one of us have the opportunity to opt out. So I feel very strongly that this is time for us to exercise this option. I urge you to vote yes on this so that we can explore those options. We can be then part of the development of expanded geothermal in our area where we control that and we're part of it. I fully support this. Is it perfect? Nothing is perfect. This is the best option that we have in front of us at this point, and in the near future, I would really urge you to vote yes, to exercise our option to enter into this and to move forward, and thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you. If that happens, we'll be opening it up for consistent back and forths. So next, if we have another. Guest. And then, ma'am, I see you coming up. You can go next. I may allow for maybe another 30 seconds after everyone's finished that hasn't spoke, but.
Okay, this has nothing to do with our rates. Okay, so my name is Roseanne Domingo. I'm from District 3. I was in Washington, D.C. back in June. We were going to fight the big bad bill. I was in a Senate hearing. I was a part of it. And they were talking about the fossil fuels and energies. And I just want to say that from what I heard, I didn't like. So this is for you, EJ, because what I heard is they're coming after tribal lands. Reach out to Senator Padilla because he really stood his ground to protect that. So before you cast any type of decision, please investigate the situation before casting your vote. Thank you.
Thank you. And then there was someone online, right? Okay. Guest. If you can state your name for the record, we'll go with your 3 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Angela Emerald. Just a couple questions or clarifications. On the whereas clauses, it makes no mention of Ordinance 3026, which was adopted by Lake County in 2015. Section 3 of that current ordinance establishes several key implementation requirements for a CCA program. Does this proposed ordinance presented here today supersede, void, or work in conjunction with Ordinance 3026? Regarding tribal engagement, on multiple occasions, when questioned about tribal engagement, Sonoma Clean Power CEO Jeff Cyphers asserted that there is no legal mandate for outreach and criticized state regulations for this gap. Yet the agenda packet for the June 2025 Sonoma Clean Power Board of Directors meeting included a staff report featuring a feasibility study for the Lake County area and detailed an implementation outline. Page 74 of that staff report explicitly outlined implementation phases, specifying that tribal engagement was scheduled to commence in July of 2025, a milestone that was not met. While Mr. Cyphers acknowledges that Lake County is home to 7 federally recognized tribes and emphasized the value of their participation, the failure to adhere to the organization's own plan undermines this recognition. A strong foundation for our future. The county is currently updating its local area plan and general plan, which will serve as our roadmap for the next 25 plus years. One effective way for Lake County to maintain oversight of its resources and demonstrate responsible land stewardship is to implement a robust renewable energy element from the outset. A prime example of this is Sonoma County's Renewable Energy Combining District approach. Establishing a strong foundation, despite a history of high staff turnover at our county level, will help ensure that the county's vision for future development is consistently upheld. I'd also like to point out that on the attachments for District 3, there are letters from 2/3 of the town halls in opposition to Sonoma Clean Power. For these reasons and others, I would respectfully request that the board take a step back and deny Sonoma Clean Power's offer today, or request a 1-year extension of their offer. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Any others on Zoom? All right. How many people would want to speak for another 30 seconds? Yeah, I think that's quite a bit. We're going to go ahead and move forward from there because it'll just continuously spur. I think everybody's got their points across. Let's go ahead and move forward from there. If there's no one else, we're going to go ahead and close public input and bring it back to the board for further discussion. Supervisor Sabatier.
I'll get it started. I guess I think there needs to be a reminder. I feel like there's either some misunderstanding. We invited Sonoma Clean Power in the first place. We went back and asked them to do a feasibility study. I had to look it up because I didn't remember the exact date, but it was in April of 2025. We approved to go back and check in and see what was possible. So to me, I'm not going to disagree that there's certain parts of their presentations that I don't agree with, how it was presented, but they are not coming here as salesmen. They are coming here as invited guests to respond to our requests. And I think we need to be clear on that. I'm also feeling that there's some language of nuance that's being used. There's really no competition between the CCA and PG&E. PG&E is getting out of the generation market itself, almost entirely out of the generation market right now. They're buying contracts to get the energy that they actually provide to you in your distribution lines. Joining a CCA probably makes their life easier where they don't have to have as many contracts in the long run. So I don't see it as competition. So the idea that it's going to hurt PG&E, I don't see that being true, because they're not losing you as a customer. They're still giving you the electricity to your house. That's their job still. That's not changing. Because I hear a lot of words, I think it was the Chamber of Commerce we received that provide electricity to us. No, it only generates, it doesn't provide. And I think words matter for the specifics of what we're talking because it's a complicated subject matter. So right now, last we heard, I guess it probably changes from day to day, month to month. It was down to maybe a 0.5% less than what PG&E as a bill by itself. That was a difference that we were told you would save on your bill. Now, if your bill is $3,000, that's still $15, and let's admit $15 is money we would all love to save and keep in our pocket, so that does matter. I think a choice is amazing. That choice is not the changing of your bill, it's just changing where the generation is coming from. But I will say, I don't feel I have a choice necessarily in front of me. I just have Sonoma Clean Power because we had a relationship from the past. We wanted to ask more questions, and here they are. But I know there's other CCAs. I think today is not a day to say yes or no. Maybe if there's a yes, then we move forward with that, but I don't think there's a no. There is absolutely no way there should be a no. There should be a continued conversation of how else can we continue to find a way to reduce the energy cost overall for our communities. There's other neighboring CCAs that we can have conversations. Some have approached us. We just haven't gone full bore into the conversation. And I would love to open up those conversations. And there's some reasons why I would love to open up some of those conversations. One of them is, I can't help, maybe I'm being petty, but I have issues with Sonoma Water. And I feel weird joining a JPA where they are one of the two parties and we are a participant, where on the other side we're dealing with them in a indirect but yet direct way through FERC because they've made a deal with PG&E and we're fighting that situation. So I feel uncomfortable in building that relationship right now. It's bad timing, in my opinion. Again, maybe you can call it petty, but I've dealt with them and I've heard things that creates a little bit of mistrust from my position. And then there's, I mean, we really skipped over item 5.10. In 5.10, we joined a JPA made up of Sutter, Nevada, Yuba, Colusa, Lake, other cities, and we got an equal vote automatically in that JPA. We didn't have to negotiate. We didn't have to fight. We got an equal vote. We're not being offered an equal vote. And so why not ask other CCAs and see what's the offer on the table? Because maybe we do have a better ability to have a voice. The whole geozone to me is a little weird because right now the state governor is really pushing for geothermal. Geothermal is going to happen whether or not we join this geozone or not. I met with a hydrogen group not too long ago. I'm meeting with another geothermal group tomorrow. So, I mean, they're here. They're already knocking on the door. It doesn't require Sonoma County, Sonoma Clean Power. And correct me if I'm wrong, and please do, but Sonoma Clean Power has done a lot of projects. They've probably done projects outside of their membership areas in order to generate electricity. I'm getting a nod. So you don't have to be a member to get their projects in your community, just like we didn't have to have the Maha people be part of a membership to do their project in our community. So I feel like there's a lot of push right now, and I mean, horrible term, but this is a 20-year, if not lifetime, so far for all the folks that have joined them. Nobody's jumped out. Lifetime relationship that we're here to build. To me, it's somewhat of a marriage, and I'm just not willing to jump into a marriage with the first person I lay in bed with. So I would love to open up the discussion and see what else is available, because what I see gives me pause and hesitation. And I appreciate Mr. Cipher for being open for me to be sincere with him throughout our discussions. It's not an issue with Jeff Cipher. It's not an issue with his board. I've stated my issues and my concerns, and I think we do not stop here if the answer is no, because then that's really on us saying we really don't care that people are being hurt by PG&E, and it's going to continue to hurt them because PG&E just put in a new rate increase. So whatever the case might be that they flatline or might decrease your bills till 2027, they already just submitted something to re-increase it. So don't worry, it's going to keep going up, unfortunately. And that's not going to change your bill all that much. You're going to save between what we were shown, between 0.5% to 7%, depending on the year, and 2 years out of 8 so far showing that it actually can be higher than PG&E. And I will say one last thing. I asked a question that said that I'm elected by my constituents to serve for them. And what would the situation be if I advocated or at least advertised that they can opt out if the prices through SCP were higher than PG&E? Because I represent the people that I serve. I don't represent SCP. And I was told, well, that's not, if that's what you want to do, that's probably not the relationship you want to get into. And I appreciate the sincere response. But I'm not here to represent anybody else other than the people that I serve in District 2 and Lake County. And so I feel I need to let them know. I'm not going to force them to switch over, but I feel I need to let them know if a choice that I made them pay more out of their pocket, that I need to let them know that, hey, you have an option right now because it's less expensive if you go back to PG&E. And so all those things, and then a little bit more, but I'll stop right there, leads me right now to I want to expand the conversation and see what we have, because if you do an RFP, you get all the choices. We haven't done an RFP, and we're about to sign on to a 20-plus year commitment without doing an RFP that costs potentially millions of dollars. And so I would like to move in that direction.
Were you next?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, and then-
Go ahead.
Okay. Where this comes down to, well, first let me say I think that everything I've heard and all the discussions I've had out in the community is nobody has an issue with having a choice of another power provider. So where it comes down to is the concern that we've heard, and it's certainly not a large percentage of what I'm hearing when I'm out in the community. I think there's a lot of folks that expect us to make a decision. They're not going to show up and speak. They're not going to, even if they're in support of it, they're not going to speak. So where it comes down for me is the whole thing with the geozone, the geothermal. And I realize there's concerns in the community, but as my colleague stated a second ago, geothermal is going to happen here no matter what. It is, somebody's going to come here, somebody's going to propose projects, try to put projects in, and with the current state law, we may have nothing to say about it. I mean, there's projects that the state can approve that we have no say in. So if we have a partnership with somebody such as Sonoma Clean Power, who has the expertise for this kind of development, I think that puts us in a better position to drive what geothermal projects we would want in our community. And I certainly don't want to, ruin the rural aspect of Lake County, but we do need to look at some development to move forward and have progress. And I'd rather it be us involved in driving the conversation than somebody coming in and we have nothing to say about where they're going to put a geothermal project, if it's under state purview. And I think that, everything I understand about this geozone is an opportunity, it's a conversation which is going to involve the community once we start, getting into looking at possible projects. There's nothing on the radar right now even that I'm aware of. So that's where I'm at. I'm in support of it because I think having this relationship puts us in a better position where the county has zero capacity on its own to go out and do anything related to these projects or generating our own power at this point in time. So that's where I'm at right now.
All right. Supervisor Owen?
Okay. Okay, so I've been on the board for less than a year now. So I've been doing a lot of research on that's my due diligence, to go ahead and do all the research I can. I still am not at the end of my research. What I have done is over the weekend and prior to, I've spoke with a number of people in the business. I've also watched videos and et cetera, et cetera. For me, I want to look at not doing a possible 2% below or 2% over. I don't feel that's much of an option. If we're going to make a change, I want to do what's really going to affect the lives of our community. So in some of my research, something like NCPA, who I spoke with yesterday, actually, I'm trying to see if there's any opportunity to go that direction. They're going to be looking into that, but there's other options too, not just NCPA. But on average, they pay about 40% less their customers. Now that's something we can get excited about, not 2% over or under. So, and not only that, their wages are prevailing wage. They pay prevailing wage for the people that work up there. They have about 40 employees at NCPA, and 39 of them live in Lake County. So, and they pay well. My family is retired from there, my husband, my brother-in-law, my brother. So I did look at them as well. I've contacted Calpine, and I'm contacting others as well. So, but whoever we get, I'm one that's not going to give up. I might get beat, but I'm not going to quit. So looking at Pillsbury, I'm not looking at giving up on that, of course. So I'm talking to anybody that will listen about also adding the hydro. Excuse me. And there's the open and closed loop pumping to be able to keep it going year round. And that's something we need to maybe have into our deals. So for me, I don't have enough information yet. Even though I've been researching it, I have not done enough research to make a commitment like this. I'm not saying that this is completely off the table, but what I am saying is I think there's a better deal out there, and I'm going to look for it. Is it more work? Heck yeah, it takes a lot of time, and it's a lot of work. But good things do take a lot of work. So that's my responsibility, is to find out what is the best for our county and our constituents. And right now, I don't feel that this is in our best interest to get tied up, to sign the 20-year contract And it's 20 years, mind you, from the time we decide we want out. So I don't want to hinder what else might be on the horizon. Am I for power? Absolutely. My family has all been in the power industry. My dad was retired PG&E. My son currently works for PG&E. My husband was is retired from NCPA, as I said, as well as my brother-in-law and my brother. So I am all about the geozones. I'm all about power. I'm all about hydro. I'm all about saving Lake Pillsbury. So that's where I am looking, to look for a partner that can maybe help us with that. It's my responsibility. I have listened to my constituents. As a matter of fact, I think it was Norman that was up here. I don't know if he's left or if he's still here. And you are one of my constituents, and I'm listening. And you're not the only one. I did ask that Sonoma Clean Power go to the town hall meetings and speak to people, and I thank them very much for doing that. I actually spoke with, I'm sorry, your name, Jeff? Yeah. This weekend as well, and let him know where I stood. It's no secret where I stand. I have talked to constituents. I've had a few constituents that were for going that direction. They want an option. I've had others that were opposed to it. I spoke with people in Sonoma that have Sonoma Clean Power that said that they're actually more expensive than PG&E. So I'm just not willing to do the commitment with the long-term contracts if I'm not sure that we're getting the best deal that we can possibly get. So that's where I stand right now.
Supervisor Pyska?
I'm really glad that we heard from so many past supervisors, because this is a conversation that predates all of us on this board. We also, for the public's awareness, heard from past supervisor Ed Roby. This work has been in progress for a long time, well over a decade. So for some people that are just kind of tuning in or didn't know this work has been going on for a long time, it does seem new and it could seem rushed, but it's not. And years ago, when Sonoma Clean Power came and asked us to join the geozones, this is exactly what we asked for. We asked for service to be provided here, and we asked for a seat on the board. And this, and then coming back this spring to do the feasibility analysis, again, was an invitation from the asset we made before. I think that, the conversations with PG&E, Supervisor Spontier, you nailed it. They are going to stay in distribution. And I think the difference with the city of Healdsburg and NCPA is that we're always going to have to pay PG&E distribution. And that's why our overall savings would be so low, is because the distribution side is very high. And that is what the new increase is being requested for PG&E, is to increase distribution, because there's a lot of potential revenue to be gained by undergrounding, by vegetation management. I just found out there's a new massive tree cutting operation happening in my district yesterday. So PG&E is going to be very well funded for a long time on the distribution side. So I don't think we need to worry about that, but that's always going to be an issue if we look at other CCAs, and if we looked at a company like NCPA, who is going to manage the distribution? The infrastructure is already in place for PG&E, so they're always going to be our partner. But having the choice and the potential for lowered cost year to year, this year there was a lower rate, next year it doesn't look like it's going to be quite so low, but year to year there's the potential for that, and our constituents would have that choice. We heard our legislative update, and we heard about the costs, the daily costs for our residents going up Food is more expensive, resources are thin. I don't know if you all know this, but the FAIR plan is asking for rate increases, which in my zip code, 95426, they're asking for a 43% increase on the FAIR plan. And all of our zip codes are going to see very significant increases. And so we look at all these compounding costs for our residents, it is crushing, and it will continue to crush. And so if we were to join this, maybe the first year or two, it's not a significant saving. Maybe it is if we are able to produce more energy here. And that is what this geozone opportunity is. It's looking at opportunities. We could, right now, there could be a developer walking right up to the window upstairs, bringing an application in to develop something without our input. We have the geozone, we have input on that. And we also have final say. It's still going to go through our land use authority and permitting. So, this is a really good deal. It's not a perfect deal, I will grant you that. But we have been working on this. The collective we, all of us that have been sitting on this dais for over a decade, have been working towards this goal. And, we could say, we could kick it down the road and say, maybe we'll get a better deal, but maybe we won't. This is the deal that we've been working on for a really long time. I think we just need to make this decision and move forward.
Just want to say I appreciate you guys putting me in the position to have to be the one to make. Let's just be open here, right? It's so I like that you mentioned the 3 supervisors supporting it. I think that speaks volumes. I also have 3 town halls. Although I know 2 letters came from the town halls, I'm pretty sure that, I don't know, Jeff, did we meet with Central Region Town Hall? Lucerne, yes, we met with them as well. I know that there's been some struggle with their meetings because they meet on a Monday. It usually falls on a holiday, so I can't say that they would support it or not support it. But in talking with folks, I've had, mixed discussion there. So still, town halls are put in place for my district so that I can get a feel as to how people and how folks at those town halls decide. Of course, not everyone goes to those. I heard that loud and clear from different supervisors and also other folks that I've talked to. With Potter Valley project, I know we discussed that in the special meeting town hall, and I did appreciate Jeff and the group saying that they would look into that with our lead, of course. I think what scares me about that is, I think you mentioned Sonoma Water. Not that we've had the best relationship with them. I think there's times we've worked okay with them, but most of the time it's been, we haven't really had a voice. So I'll just leave that there. And I know that, as Supervisor Sabatier said, there's a connection. Tribal engagement. Now, I did notice on the 25th that there was, or in one of the meetings, July 25th, it was stated that there would be some procurement to work with tribes. Now, when you talk about Lake Sonoma and Mendocino County, you're talking about 21 different tribes, and right now there already is, I want to say, 13 seats in place, intact for Sonoma Clean Power. They're about 13. And then with us, potentially 14 and a half, or is that how it looks?
I think it's 11, it would be 13 seats, so one for the cities, one for the county.
Okay, and so the cities would get one, but now that Clear Lake's not intact, that would be a half seat? Please come up and help me with that, because.
I didn't even think about that.
Of course, it'll be my board who decides, but I will recommend a full seat. I don't think there's anything like a half seat in government, so I will certainly recommend a full seat for Lake Board.
Do the cities have a full seat, or as of now? Just
one more time, I'm sorry.
The cities currently in the JPA, they have a seat.
So when we founded, began, we had no intention of expansion. It was Sonoma County serving Sonoma County. And so one seat was set up for each municipality in Sonoma County. So each of the cities and one for the county. Everyone gets one seat. That was an arrangement designed to solve a problem between our smallest city and our biggest city, feeling like they had, they needed to work out how that power flow worked, and the smaller cities didn't want to get run over. When Lake County asked us for service in 2015, it was the first time we ever thought about expansion and including other regions. So that's when we had to create a policy for any new region. And we shifted toward representation that's proportional to the population. So when we went to Mendocino County, we added 2 seats for Mendocino because that was proportional to their population, and offered 2 seats to Lake County for the same reason. So, so that's where that came from.
Okay, thank you. Which kind of brings me to my concern too about basically 21 different tribes possibly being a part of it. I know there's some that are landless, but they're also sovereign governments the same way that a municipality is their own government as well. So I don't know how that looks, but what I do know is another thing is that Sonoma Clean Power has, they've been supporting and sponsoring AB 531 and other legislation that goes through the state. I see this also as like working with us to try and allow us, as we've requested, of course, for the past 10-something years. It's like a roulette bet. They're putting together working with the bills to try to get those passed, but also we could possibly be a part of their group. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I'm saying that any business or entity would basically bet on the number 21 and then put red just in case they hit both, either or. That's just what happens. That's just the way life is. So I highlight these things because there's a statement in one of the slides for local control where it says Sonoma Clean Power would allow Lake County to use local geothermal energy produced here and have a stronger voice over what the new resources are built. And to me, it's also one of those things though where in one instance they are pushing for for these bills to pass, which overrides local authority. But on the other hand, telling us that they wouldn't do that. So it's one of those things that kind of make me wonder. But at the same time, we're threatened with it regardless. It's going to happen. That's just where the legislation is as of now. I do appreciate one of the statements made by one of the gentlemen that spoke was, what have we done in the past 20 years? Mm-hmm. I look at that, and I also look at the statements made by other folks that say, what have we, what can we do together? How can we do this together? So to me, I'm looking at that in a way, I just don't see who's going to do that. I know we can put something together, but in the meantime, while we're putting that together, what happens while these other groups have the opportunity through state legislation to move forward? So, although, I do like the idea of if there was possible, and I don't know if Sonoma Clean Power is willing, to give us more time to explore or look at how some of this legislation pushes through, looking at how there can be engagement with the tribes. And I think that's really what pushes me into the position. And I know it's not necessarily your fault. I think that's where it makes it difficult for me to decide because they're sovereign tribes, and I understand we make the decision. It has to wait till after we make a decision so you can engage them. But there was already a plan in place to engage them before we had this discussion. So I don't know if kicking the can down the road puts you in a position to where, okay, you've had your opportunity, we're done, or if it gives us the opportunity to readdress it and see how some of this goes and look further into this. I don't know, can that be answered or?
Yeah, I'll take that one. I think it's never a shut door. I'll say our CEO's come up here 18 times now in the last few months to visit with your community and to try and educate you and answer your questions. And I think that demonstrates a level of good faith that I'm hoping, results in a decision today, because the Those are hours of trips that he's making up here. He's our highest priced person at the organization. He's our leader, and we need him focused on the work too. And so, again, the door's not closed, but we don't want to, be strung on. We've put a lot of effort into this, and I don't want to sugarcoat it that it does matter to get some closure on it, and I don't want to be spending another year going through and having multiple staff coming over the hill and going over the hill while you're exploring things with other organizations and things like that. If you want to do that. But this is, sometimes we've got to make decisions. That's why you get paid the big bucks. Thank you.
All right, thank you for that. That concerns me a little bit, because either way we'll be engaged. Even if we, if we do make the decision, you're still going to be engaged in ensuring people come over here. Well, I guess we're at a point where we just need to take a vote, right? Just go ahead and vote, because I'm just gonna. Go ahead.
I mean, I think this is something that we need to be sure of. And if you're not sure, we can wait a year.
I mean, it's the tribal engagement for me,
Right.
and then some of this legislation that's very important to me, and I feel like if I make this choice, and this goes sour, as a Native American, I've basically made the decision to disenfranchise even further, if that's the case,
Right.
So
by not taking a vote, we can just ask them to come back. And I know that's not what you want to do, but if we want to do it the right way, where the majority of this board feels comfortable moving forward, I think there were some missteps over this last year, and you can have that opportunity to make it right.
Supervisor, Vice Chair.
Based on what I'm hearing at this point, I would be in favor of not taking a vote.
Supervisor Sabatier?
I know that admin has related to me that there has been contact with other CCAs and others of the kind, and I would like to explore so that we have a choice rather than just looking at one and understanding in great depth what that one can offer without recognizing what are the other offers that could be out there. And so I would like to support at least engaging with anyone else that can offer similar services, so that when we come back, we say, look, we compared everything. We've done our due diligence to not just look at you, but look at everyone else. And here's why we're making a decision.
Supervisor Heiska?
But knowing that each time we push this off, we lose another year. So I would really like to be able to make a decision this time next year, if possible. Because that would put us into another year.
27.
No, 28.
28.
So I think there's time, a little bit of time.
Awesome.
So that's my recommendation. We just wait, but remain urgent.
Supervisor Owen?
For me, I'd like to, I'm not saying that it needs to be a hard no, but I do feel that it may take more than a year to do all the, to do our due diligence in the research. It may take longer than that, so I don't want a hard line in a year I think we need to take a little time, and we need to research the other avenues and see what is possible and what is out there. And I feel strongly about it. Because if we can save 40% on our bills, that is something worth getting on board with. And I don't know that we can, but we need to research it. So.
I think, out of respect for one of the things stated by the chair, I mean, is 6 months too short? Is that speed line, is that?
6 months?
I don't think we need to commit to a timeline. I just want to commit that we are seriously looking at this. We don't put it on the back burner. We move quickly if we want to If you want to put out an RFP or look at the other options, that's what I'm saying. Let's just not kick it so far down the road that we're not working on it constantly. I really want to be keeping the conversation on the front burner, not putting a hard deadline on next year, though I would like to be able to make a decision so that we could have this on our close horizon.
Yeah, I'm tying it still to what may or may not happen at Pillsbury, and I'm an optimist. And I want to see what we could do, and I want to see what options are out there. And like I said, as long as it's not a hard line, kicking it down the road, and absolutely work on it, we need to. But an option, just to have a choice on whether we pay $1,000 or $990 a month is not really an option. And we need to look at bottom lines for our constituents.
Vice Chair.
I was just going to reiterate that, yeah, what's been said, that if we're not going to take action today, let's make a commitment to keep working on it.
I think we have
Absolutely.
without delay.
Yep.
I think we have a consensus to do that. Supervisor Sabatier.
And maybe make a request for staff to come back with what's the plan, who have reached out to them, what support they need, just to get an understanding of what that timeline might look like, what the actions might look like. That way we don't just wait for staff to just come back when they're done. I think having a conversation about what the plan is, I think would be helpful.
Like a framework of what we might be able to do.
Yeah, it doesn't need to be in great deep dive,
no.
but just,
I'd be in favor of that.
yeah. And appreciate all the work that's been put in, because I know that Ben and Matthew and who knows how many number of others have communicated with SCP throughout this time. Greatly appreciated, and probably not the outcome you're looking for all the work that happened.
Lloyd, did you have anything to add, just in case? I just wanted to make sure.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So that can be provided in terms of direction to staff. I believe there's already consensus, just to confirm with your board.
Right.
As far as staff coming back to your board with an update or some plan, that would primarily be on staff's end to come back to your board at a later time with, that's going to be part of your direction too. That can be given to staff.
All right, I think we have that direction. Matthew, you think?
And I do have just one further comment, and that's that some of the urgency was driven by the fact that the power charge indifference adjustments, which is an exit fee, those conditions are favorable right now. And I know that all of you sitting on the board understand that. I just wanted to say that out loud, that some of that urgency is not being driven as a sales tactic. It's by the actual regulatory conditions right now that were favorable this time, were not at previous junctures. So just wanted to say that out loud, and we appreciate your board's decision-making and considering all factors.
Thank you.
All right, so with that, I think we have the consensus here to give direction, and then also to not take a vote as of now, so that the door is still open and there's opportunities, and it's not a hard no, but it's not a hard yes either, just as of now. So with that, we'll go ahead and close this portion of the agenda and take a
Sure, Mr.
10-minute
Chair,
break.
hang on.
Yes, Jeff.
Just very briefly, I wanted to thank you for the clarity. This is good for us to have this feedback, because we don't want an unwilling partner. This doesn't work unless we're all pulling in the same direction. And this is hard work. And it requires community support. And so my ask is, if you want us to come back, so this is our third time, each time it's a few hundred hours of staff time, it's tens of thousands of dollars of our ratepayer money. We don't ask you to pay for that. Please come to us. I think we need to have you visit us and build trust in our community. We haven't tried that. And I think when we're out in the community, if we do this again, I only want to do it at your side. I think we're always and forever going to be the outsider. And I think if we're viewed as an implementer and not a salesperson, and we're doing your work that you want, then the community will receive us in a very different way. So thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Jeff. I just want to add one more comment, since we're giving staff direction. Because I think so much of the confusion is around the geozone and what that means for us and our decision-making and for community input. And so it was brought up that we're working on our housing implementation plan, we're working on our economic development plan. It would be nice for us, and I don't want to put one more plan on your plate, but at least some kind of outline of what it would look like for us to have a energy policy, what we're looking for, and to help us make decisions so that when we have this conversation again, it is less mysterious for everybody.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
All right. With that, we'll close this portion of the agenda, and we'll take a 10-minute break, come back at 11:30.